Now, I'm kind of amazed that this film got made, and I'm wondering, were you amazed at the time it got made, and are you still?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm amazed. I think having made Malinoche, and during the period of between Malinoche and Drugstore Cowboy, was a period where I had written many different screenplays, and um, three of them were sort of concerning this storyline. One was a short story, sort of like a map with which to make a film, which was called My Own Private Idaho, and there was another one which was called Minions of the Moon, which was emulating Orson Welles' Chimes at Midnight on the streets of Oregon, like an updating of his selections of Shakespeare and Falstaff, the character of Falstaff, Shakespearean character. And then there was a third screenplay. The Minions of the Moon was a full screenplay that I used to shop around here with an agent. And then the third was called In a Blue Funk, which was about Mike and a German auto parts salesman called Hans, who was in my head sort of a Rainer Fassbinder character with a mustache and glasses. Until when I went with Malinoche to the Berlin Film Festival, I ran into Udo Kier, and I thought I had seen him in Andy Warhol's Frankenstein and Andy Warhol's Dracula, and I thought, well, maybe he'd be interested, and he was. So I was fortunate to get him, and I didn't really encourage him to dress up like Werner Fassbinder, but
But you initially had tried to get this made, but I mean, Drugstore
yeah, I
Cowboy
guess
came
I guess the
first,
the
right?
part where like we were trying to get it made was after we made Drugstore Cowboy, and while we were in, say, the Toronto Film Festival with the film, it was kind of getting a good response. The release wasn't as like sort of splashy as I think Sex Lies and Videotape, which came out in a similar year. It didn't go to Cannes, for instance. We tried to get into Cannes with Drugstore Cowboy, and I think I had this sort of moment in my life where I could have, gone on to do something that was, say something that was more along the lines of a studio film. And there were offers from studios, and in particular some action movies, which I was considering. And then I had this screenplay, which during the editing of Drugstore Cowboy, I had distilled the three screenplays down into like a 70-page piece written on a Mac, which was a kind of a new machine, and I used all the different typefaces that Steve Jobs carefully designed, and so some of the type was really big and some was tiny, and so when I gave it to people from Universal, they were 70 pages, strange type, and the story, and everything mashing together. They appreciated Drugstore Cowboy, but they thought maybe the next project after my own private Idaho, they would jump in, and nobody really wanted it.
Well, they were like, "Are you sure you don't want to do this action film?"
Yeah, and they would say that, and then we were trying to just check with Keanu and River to see if they might be interested, figuring that they would just say no. Keanu and his manager, they really were interested because Keanu had done a low-budget film in Portland already, and he had been doing bigger projects. So I think that was something that he was interested in. River, on the other hand, had never done anything like that, and he kind of didn't even know what we were up to, like what sort of a film it was. And we got him the screenplay. His agent just said, "Over my dead body, you're not getting." And we got it to him through some mutual friends, just the actual physical screenplay. And I think he might have heard about it through Keanu as well. And they both were calling and sort of teaming up, like, if I do it, Keanu has to do it, that kind of thing. Making the deal themselves. They were actually negotiating with the agent was out of the picture, and and eventually they were doing it, which was very strange because we had unknown characters that we were intending to use. And
Yeah,
so it
which
sort of changed the profile of the film.
and some of those the original sort of actors that you had in mind were
Yeah,
people you
some of
knew
those guys are in, like
and
the
are in
guy
the
who
film.
plays Gary and the guy who plays Digger were actually going to be Mike and Scott. Mike Parker being Mike Waters.
Was the real Bob going to be Bob?
Yeah, and I think maybe the real Bob was going to be our friend Bob, who plays the first John in the film. And I guess he would have had to do Shakespeare, which would have been difficult because he had emphysema. But yeah, it was sort of like this very, very strange small project that I just insisted on doing. Promised myself that I would do, and I would keep pushing it, and it just somehow, probably through Drugstore Cowboy, got going.
But this initially was maybe going to be another Mala Noche in the sense of independent.
Very much.
16
As was
movie.
Drugstore Cowboy was supposed to be, like $100,000 movie in black and white, shot in Portland, but it became a $4 million movie. And this one was also supposed to be like, however much money, just small amount, kind of homemade. But it also sort of blew up into a bigger project.